Not hearing back from an interview or an application for a while can be very, very frustrating. There's two different aspects to that question. The first is the not hearing back after an application, and the next is not hearing back after an interview. The first thing is after an application, you may never hear. You just don't know what's going on. A lot of times law firms may receive hundreds of applicants for a given position, and they just don't have the time to enter everything into a database and respond. So if you don't hear anything, it may not even be the fact that they don't like you. I mean, what happens a lot of times is an employer will look at the first applicants that come in, they may be desperate for someone, they start interviewing someone, and then everything else that comes later on, they don't even look at or pay attention to. So one of the things that I always do is I advise people to apply to positions very early, because you're much more likely to get an interview if the job has just come out. And if the job has just come out and they bring you in early, they're going to ignore a lot of the people that come later. So it just happens. I mean, people bond. I mean, it's sort of like going on a date with someone you like, and then all of a sudden you meet 5 or 6 other people. You're not going to want to go out with those 5 or 6 other people because you're already down the path with the first person. Now, the second part of that question is what happens if you get an interview with someone and you actually go in for an interview and you don't hear anything back. And that's a little bit more complicated. One thing to remember is a lot of times, even if they like you a lot and you think you bonded with them really well, a couple things could be going on in the background. The first is that people just haven't returned their forms saying they liked you, or the firm hasn't had time to discuss you yet. And that happens a lot of times because people are just busy. I mean, they're practicing law, and interviewing you is not like, and responding is not high on their priority. So that's one of the first things that can happen. And the delay a lot of times has nothing to do with you. Another thing that can happen is people that have an interview, they may be interviewing other people in addition to you. So they're waiting for that other person to come in for an interview, or they're making sure they want to discuss both of you at the same time. Or the negative part is that a lot of times they may have made another person an offer, and they may be keeping you on hold for that. And then another thing that can also happen is the law firm may not know if they're going to have the work, so they may have been interviewing you in anticipation of a big case or something coming in, and then work slows down, so that can happen, budgeting issues, and so that's just some of the main things. The other thing that can happen is there's just different types of year when things are busier. It's actually very easy sometimes to get a job and to start a job when you start interviewing in like late October, November, December, because the law firms tend not to be as busy. If you try to apply for jobs in the summer, for example, during when there's summer associates, it could be much busier. There can also be conflicts checks, reference checks. They may have questions about your background that they're trying to get answered. You really don't know. One of the things that I would say, though, is following up can be helpful, but then you don't want to become too pushy at the same time. So you have to remember that the job of getting a job in a law firm is a cat and a mouse game, because you don't want to appear too desperate. They want to hire someone that they believe would be good for the job, but not someone that's desperate for a job. So if you start following up too much and that sort of thing, they think you're a little desperate for the job, and it will hurt you and you won't get the job. The best thing to do is just send an email saying you're still interested in the position. You can do that a couple weeks after maybe interviewing, and then check back in 3 or 4 weeks later. But doing that more than a couple times is really all you need to do. And the unfortunate thing is a lot of times you may interview for a job and never hear anything. You may go in and the firm may be very nice to you, and they may act like you're going to get the job, and you might make a connection, and they may tell you even that you're going to get the job, and then you just hear nothing. And it's weird. I mean, there's ghosting and looking for jobs, and it's unfortunate, and it happens to a lot of people. The largest firms do it, the smallest firms do it. It's just the way it is.